The Cleveland Cavaliers and Orlando Magic will kick off the 2024 NBA playoffs with some real hoops. While some fans have already joked about this being an NBA TV type of series, the reality is we're going to see some old-fashioned mud wrestling in this matchup between two of the best defensive teams in the NBA. Orlando finished third in defensive rating, while Cleveland has been a top 10 defensive team in each of the last 3 seasons. Neither team has scored the ball consistently this year, and that means you can expect an all-out rock fight for most of this battle. But how will the Magic attack Cleveland, and what will the Cavaliers do to respond in a season where it feels like do or die for the young core? Let's start with how Orlando will likely choose to defend the Cavaliers' best players. The Magic are a long, rangy team full of versatile defenders. Their starting lineup features 3 players at 6'10", and the backcourt of Jalen Suggs and Gary Harris stands at a respectable 6'5" and 6'4". And Suggs is the point of attack defender that is going to give Donovan Mitchell the most problems. He's an elite perimeter defender with high-end athleticism and strength to match Mitchell's explosiveness. This individual matchup will be one to watch, as Mitchell is more than capable of torching even the most elite on-ball defenders. But the issue is, Orlando will likely try to get Mitchell off of the ball as much as possible, taking a page out of New York's book and trapping Mitchell every time the Cavs run a pick and roll. This will force Mitchell to give up the rock and put pressure on Cleveland's other players to perform. Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley were frequently asked to make plays out of this scenario during the Knicks series a year ago, and we all saw how that turned out. But the Cavs have placed an emphasis on improving in this regard, with Mitchell taking a huge leap as a playmaker and Allen finding a new way to be effective with the ball. Allen averaged a career high in assists by working dribble handoffs and handling the ball with confidence. A strong drive like this is the type of assertive play the Cavs will need in the playoffs, and it's something that Allen has done all season long. Evan Mobley is also averaging a career high in assists, but the injuries have made it more difficult for Evan to find a comfortable role in the offense. Mobley appeared to overthink his every move in the Knicks series, so against Orlando, hopefully Mobley will be able to find some comfort zones in the Magic defense. One thing that will help the Cavaliers accomplish all of this is the addition of Max Strus. Strus was their top free agency target for a reason, and it's because they not only needed his floor spacing abilities, but his skills as a ball handler helped tie this offense together in a way that makes sense. Compare these two plays. Against the Knicks last year, Darius Garland is shown 2 defenders, but when he hits Allen on the short roll, the play is already dead. There's no other movement, and Allen is forced into an awkward turnover playing straight into the Knicks' hands. Now compare this to a game against Orlando from this season, and when DG sees 2 defenders, Allen catches the rock, and Strus is already flying out of the corner to operate a 2-man game. Strus adds another layer to the Cavs' offense, and he has helped them get out of the mud at various points during the regular season. The same can be said for Sam Merrill, whose motion shooting makes him a great pairing with Donovan Mitchell. As I mentioned, Mitchell has taken a huge leap in terms of playmaking, and this is best on display when he is spraying it out to the perimeter. Orlando will find it difficult to trap Mitchell if it means Sam Merrill is darting open for a 3-pointer. Weapons like Merrill, Strus, and even George Niang are tools the Cavs didn't have a year ago, and it will allow them to be more creative on offense. We can see Sam slip the screen here and pop for a quick 3-pointer. Or you can simply let Strus work with either big and generate another form of offense that way. As for Darius Garland, we can also expect the Magic to replicate New York's defense and play a lot of drop coverage. This has routinely been the strategy when it comes to containing Garland, because everyone knows DG is looking to work his way downhill and bring that help defender out of the paint so he can throw a dime to one of his bigs. Orlando will likely drop far back on DG to take away that pass and dare him to enter the lane. Garland has had a tough time finishing at the rim this season, and those 13 pounds that he lost due to a jaw injury aren't coming back anytime soon. the physicality of this series could give Garland a hard time. Pressure will be on DG to shoot over the drop and convert enough floaters to force Orlando into an adjustment. But DG will also need to make better decisions with the ball, avoiding poor turnovers or dribbling directly into the teeth of the Magic defense. Again, creativity will be the key for the Cavs offense if they want to avoid being grinded down to a halt. Something like this, where the Cavs set up an empty side pick and roll and allow Garland the space needed to play with Allen, is perfect. Or on this play, where Allen slips a Spain pick and roll and opens up a quick lane for Garland to work his magic. The last key for Garland will be punishing switch defenses. The Magic might simply switch screens and put Garland in a position to beat a slower defender. This has been hit or miss for DG all season, but the Cavs will be relying on him to provide some offensive firepower, especially if Mitchell has a hard time against Suggs or the trap defense. For better or worse, so much of this series might come down to Garland winning his matchups. Now let's shift over to Cleveland's defense and how they will attempt to limit the Magic offense. The plan should be to shrink the floor and dare Orlando to beat them from downtown. Orlando finished dead last in the NBA for three-pointers this season, shooting the worst three-point percentage of any team to make the playoffs or the play-in. But the Magic finished first in shot attempts around the rim. The Cavs will want to stack the paint and task the Magic with knocking down three-pointers. There aren't many prolific shooters on the Magic, and they lack any elite perimeter shot creators. Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero are great in their own regard, but they primarily look to attack the basket. Wagner is a crafty, lanky finisher, and Banchero is a brute force of nature who can tank his way to the rim. But the Cavs are built to defend the interior. The Cavalier defense has made a habit of bringing their low-man defender into the lane extra early and packing the paint. We can see it on this play, with Allen sitting in the paint while the rest of the Cavs collapse to get a steal. All of the defense in the world won't stop Banchero from making these incredibly difficult jumpers, but if you can keep him at bay and limit his attempts in the paint or his trips to the free throw line, Cleveland will be doing their job. But who exactly is going to defend Banchero? This is a series where you really wish Dean Wade was healthy and available, as Wade is their best big wing defender. But because Wade's status is unclear, you can expect to see a lot of Evan Mobley taking the challenge. Mobley is ideally at his best as a help defender when he's able to roam and protect the rim, but if he has to accept an individual matchup, you won't hear any complaints. This is going to strain Mobley throughout a 7-game series, but the 22-year-old defensive phenom is more than up to the task. This will be a fun battle to watch, and I'd expect some big moments from each player. The Cavaliers' lack of big wing defenders might come back to haunt them, as there aren't too many options outside of Mobley. Sure, Isaac Okoro has done a fine job against Banchero this season, holding him to just 2 of 10 shooting in their last meeting, but Okoro is still undersized at 6'5" against a 6'10" Banchero, and it's up for debate if Okoro can provide enough offensively to stay on the floor for long stretches in a playoff series. Max Strus is another capable defender who just doesn't have the size to contain Banchero for 48 minutes. This is going to be a team effort, so it's good the Cavs are one of the best defensive teams. Bringing that low man into the play extra early and ignoring Orlando shooters is going to help the Cavaliers dictate the flow of this game. And it's an opportunity for Jarrett Allen to cement himself as an elite defensive anchor on the big stage. We all know what happened last season, and while I have talked extensively about all of the extraneous factors that led to Allen being outmatched on the glass, this series against Orlando will be Allen's chance to correct the narrative once and for all. Orlando is a strong rebounding team, but they aren't as dominant as the Knicks. They have a handful of players like Mo Wagner and Jonathan Isaac who can pound the offensive glass, and Isaac himself deserves a serious mention for the way he could shift this entire series with his athleticism and defense. But the Cavs should be more prepared for cleaning the glass this time around. Allen and Mobley have both improved in this regard, and players such as Marcus Morris and even Tristan Thompson can give them more relief than their backups did a year ago. The last thing worth focusing on is Orlando's bench. They finished with the second highest offensive rating of any second unit in the NBA and scored the fourth most bench points per game, whereas the Cavaliers bench ranked just 14th in points and 23rd in offensive rating. You don't want to see someone like Cole Anthony get rolling offensively, and the Cavaliers would be in trouble if the worst versions of LeVert, Okoro, and Niang show themselves on this stage. Overall, the playoffs often come down to having the best player on the floor, and if Donovan Mitchell is able to play like the MVP candidate we saw in February, the Cavs should be able to take care of business. Orlando will pose some of the same challenges that New York did last season, and for all of the talk of Cleveland's improvements, it's time to find out just how much they learned from that beatdown.